Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Whitney Ward. Mark is off tonight. We begin now with some breaking news. Spokane police have shot 2 people in North Spokane this afternoon. KREM 2's Christian Garza has been at the scene now for the last several hours working to gather more information. So Christian, what do we know at this hour?
Yeah, so this is still very much an active investigation. I'm going to step off screen so you can see exactly what I am looking at as of right now. There are multiple law enforcement agencies here right now investigating. I can see Spokane Valley Police Department, I can see Spokane Police Department, I can see Spokane County Sheriff's Office, and there is also a mobile command for the different agencies here as well. So we have limited information at this time, but what we know so far is from Spokane Police Chief Kevin Hall. He says that an officer shot 2 people, a man and a woman, inside of a home here on East Sanson Avenue. So the house that they are looking at right now has a white color with blue trim. Now, it's just blocks away from Northtown Mall. Chief Hall says they both are at the hospital and expected to be okay. No officers were injured in this shooting. Now, police arrived at the home here in the area around 1:53 because of a 911 call for a court order violation.
There was obviously a reason why the officer was felt threatened and utilized deadly force, but I'm not at liberty to disclose that at this time.
Chief Hall says there were 3 police officers inside the house at the time of the shooting, and police will be investigating throughout the night. At this time, there is no outstanding suspect and no threat to the community for people here living in the area. Chief Hall says all 3 officers inside of the home at the time of the shooting will be placed on leave. Streets around the home will continue to remain closed while police investigate. We don't know at this time if Washington State Patrol or the Spokane County Sheriff's Office will be taking over this investigation. In North Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
All right, Christian, thank you very much. Now at 5, an Ada County judge is thinking over his decision on what evidence to include in trial for the man who is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. That suspect, Bryan Kohberger, was back in court today for a second time this week. The students were found stabbed to death in a home just off campus in November of 2022. Their families have now been waiting for more than 2 years for a trial to begin. After 3 days of arguments, the judge in this Kohberger case must now decide whether to allow key DNA evidence to be presented at the murder trial. The defense argued that police should have secured a search warrant before detectives analyzed DNA that was collected from the crime scene and before they gathered and tested items out of Kohberger's parents' trash at their Pennsylvania home. The state does not believe that collection of any evidence in the crime scene or in the weeks that followed violated any of Kohberger's rights.
Particularity requirements objective is that necessary searches should be as limited as possible. A search warrant must be particular enough so that as to what is taken, nothing is left to the discretion of the officer executing the warrant.
All of these warrants were not general warrants. They were all sufficiently particular. They were specific to the type, each one of them listed that they were specific to the type of crime, the location, and all but one of them had temporal limitations.
So the judge says he will be taking all of these arguments from the week into consideration before issuing his final ruling.
They had a terrible history. University leaders knew that all the way up to the top, and they did nothing.
In a first for Washington State, a court has found a university bears some responsibility for a student's hazing death. Sam Martinez died in 2019 during a fraternity event. And KREM 2's Shannon Mouty spoke with his family's attorney today, who says they're now closer to the trial and justice they have been waiting for all along. Shannon?
This week, Washington's Court of Appeals reversed a King County judge's dismissal of the Martinez family's lawsuit against Washington State University, meaning the university may soon have to defend itself in front of a jury. In November 2019, WSU freshman Sam Martinez died from acute alcohol poisoning. The result, Pullman police and WSU agreed, of hazing at Alpha Tau Omega, or ATO.
That same fraternity had a years-long disciplinary track record of hazing
and drug and alcohol violations, other misconduct. If we had known that, Sam would still be alive today.
But Sam's mother, Jolene Houts, argued WSU was also to blame. This week, the Court of Appeals agreed the school bears some responsibility.
Extremely important. This is one of the clearest and, in my view, common sense rulings that has recently come out.
John Fazzola is the family's attorney. He says the ruling isn't just clear, it's historic.
The university has a duty to exercise reasonable care and to control and mitigate the fraternity's conduct to protect foreseeable victims, mainly pledges or other fraternity members.
WSU argued because the illegal hazing happened at ATO's off-campus house, it wasn't responsible. The court said it did have a duty to not only control the frat, but protect Sam from the foreseeable harms of hazing and alcohol misuse.
And when I found out, I have tears in my eyes because I was like, justice. You cannot say that you're not responsible. You're the one responsible for my son.
I was thrilled, really. I mean, this is about accountability. It's about holding WSU to account for what they knew was happening.
Happening, they say, for years before Sam died. The ruling outlines several times the frat endangered students, making them handle raw sewage and exposing them to aggressive hazing, with a 2017 parent complaint saying freshmen were made to drink large amounts of alcohol. The court said ATO used an off-campus house or live-out to avoid WSU's ban on alcohol, and that WSU knew it.
Even just months before Sam's tragic death, the fraternity's president was talking about the high risk that the live-out presented and was asking the university for help.
The ruling means the family's lawsuit is back on the table. Their exhaustive work of uncovering years of hazing may go to trial.
One of the family's primary goals has been to get this case in front of a jury.
WSU can appeal and send the case to the state's Supreme Court. A WSU spokesperson says the school is reviewing this ruling and has not yet decided on how or if it will proceed. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
All right, Shannon, thank you very much. New tonight, former Washington state lawmaker Matt Shea filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Spokane, claiming his civil rights were violated. The 2023 Let Us Worship event in Spokane was a prayer rally led by a Christian nationalist preacher. It gained attention when former Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward appeared on stage to pray with the preacher and with Matt Shea. Then city council members passed a resolution to condemn Woodward's appearance and refer to Shea as a domestic terrorist. The federal lawsuit names the city of Spokane, Council President Betsy Wilkerson, members Zach Sapone, Karen Stratton, and Lori Kinnear as defendants. Shea originally filed a tort claim against the city for $24 million in damages in county court last year. New tonight, the FBI says it has arrested a 21-year-old Washington woman for the fatal shooting of a U.S. Border Patrol agent this week. That shooting happened in Vermont, 13 miles south of the Canadian border. The FBI says Teresa Youngblood and a German man who died in the firefight had been under surveillance for several days. The agent stopped the pair on a highway, and the man appeared to have an expired visa. Youngblood is accused of opening fire, killing Border Patrol agent David Mayland. Tonight, we are learning that a man is suing the Grant County Sheriff's Office after he was falsely accused of planning a shooting at the Gorge Amphitheater. KREM 2 has been tracking this story since 2022. That's when 33-year-old Jonathan Moody was arrested outside of the music venue, and at the time the sheriff's office had said they believed that he was planning a shooting. Concertgoers reportedly saw him with 2 pistols before he approached concertgoers and asked them what time the show ended and where people would be exiting the concert. Days after his arrest, the sheriff's office walked back those accusations. The lawsuit is now seeking damages for the harm caused by the false allegations, unlawful arrest, and emotional distress. We did reach out to the sheriff's office today, who declined to comment due to the pending litigation. All right, let's take a live look outside right now. If you can brave the cold, it will be a beautiful weekend across the inland Northwest. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo says he was hot today. The rest of us, not so much.
Well, the problem was I wore a sweatshirt and a puffy. like a light puffy, but it was still a sweatshirt and a puffy.
That sounds reasonable for, 30s.
Yeah, I didn't even have gloves on, and I'm just walking down the street like, wow, it is so hot outside. It was gorgeous outside today. We were up at 35 degrees not that long ago, and our temperatures are dropping. They're dropping quickly, and that is going to happen. Notice your dew point, 18. That is very dry. We have a dry atmosphere and clear skies overhead. Expect big drops in terms of temperatures. Air quality sits at moderate and likely stays there today and tomorrow. And that's because of an air stagnation advisory. Basically, our atmosphere is just not doing anything. Nothing's happening. And so anything that's put into the air is just going to stay there. So anything that's coming out of chimneys, tailpipes, you name it, that's not going anywhere, and we're all going to be breathing it. Reason being, we're under yet another ridge of high pressure. That ridge of high pressure sits over the top of us and will continue to do so. So as Whitney mentioned, weekend's gonna be great. Nothing but sunshine for about the next 5 days. Highs around freezing, lows dipping into the teens.